Hey fellas, so 4.8, there's no real content. It's basically just taking everything that we've done so far and using mathematical models to solve real life, quote unquote, real life problems. Basically, as an application of all the polynomial stuff we work with. So, the key to solving this stuff is especially for polynomial equations. Okay, I know that the thing that people struggle with most of all in algebra and geometry when they have word problems is how to set up, how to turn it into a mathematical model, right? How to take whatever the problem is and represent it with some mathematical equation. Okay, with polynomials, and then as you move on further and further, that's going to become easier and easier for you. You probably are pretty good at that so far already. Okay, the problem is you're going to get multiple answers, especially with polynomials, right? When you factor, you're going to get multiple answers. The key is to make sure that your mathematical answers to the problem you're representing with your equations, your models, right, actually make sense with the actual problem. Okay, so they have to be able to apply. So you have to translate them back. Right, usually people struggle with taking the application and translating it into a mathematical representation. Right, but now we're going to have to focus on taking our mathematical answer and translating it back into the answer to the actual problem. Okay, so that's going to be something, just remember that as you work through these. You'll probably want to pause this just for a minute because I'm not going to just chill here, but you need this formula measuring a vertical projectile. So if you shoot something off into the sky, the way you measure it is these two equations, okay? You use the top equation if you're measuring in meters, and the bottom equation if you're measuring in feet. And I describe height, initial velocity, and time for you. The negative 4.9 and the 16, all right, that's actually the acceleration of gravity. You'll learn in physics as you get closer to it, but you'll need that for some of these problems. All right, jumping right into the problems. So you guys have seen a lot of these, I think, before, and they're going to be not overly difficult, but I'll just work through a couple of them with you. Okay, so you got two numbers differ by 5, right? And I have a product of 84. So we're obviously going to have two equations. First one's going to be x. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be two equations. You could represent it as two equations, do substitution, we don't have to, right? So you could just define the numbers x and x minus 5, okay? And they have a product of 84. So that's what I'm going to do. X and x minus 5 equal 84. Okay. Once again, if you want to do it as a system, you're going to get the same thing eventually anyway, so it's not that huge of a deal. Okay. So we got to find these numbers. So we got to distribute our x in here. We'll have x squared minus 5x equals 84, but we know we got to get that to the other side because we're going to have to factor anyway, so we might as well subtract it right away. Minus 84 equals 0. Now we have to factor. Okay, so you got to know what multiplies to 84. The only factors that come to the top of my head for 84 are 7 and 12, and it so happens that it works out, so I'm going to give those a shot. So we've got the x and the x, right? We've got 7 times 12 is 84, right? They have to be one positive, one negative, because we've got a minus 84 there, and we need the bigger one to be with a negative because it's a negative 5, so minus 12 plus 7 equals 0. Okay, that'll work just fine. Now, to get our x, right, x equals, well, x plus 7 equals 0, or x minus 12 equals 0. So that means that x equals negative 7, or x equals 12. Just like that. And both of them make sense because it just says two numbers. If it said two positive numbers, then obviously the negative one wouldn't work. Okay? But you could double check this and make sure you actually get the same. Moving on to the second problem, we've got the sum of two numbers is 9, so x plus y equals 9. And the sum of their squares is 101, so x squared plus y squared equals 101. Okay, we have to find these numbers. So, in order to find these numbers, I would suggest substitution makes the most sense to me. So that's what I would go with, because you don't want an x times y, and that would be terrible. We'll do the substitution, so x equals 9 minus y. Pick this up, plug it in for x. Okay, so we'll have 9 minus y squared plus y squared equals 101. So 81 minus 18y plus y squared equals 101. Okay, we're going to have to move up to the top because I don't have room. Alright, so we've got 2y squared. minus 18y. Okay, we've got the positive 81 over there. We're going to subtract the 101 over also in order to solve this equation. Okay, so we're going to subtract the 101 over, so we'll have a minus 20 equals 0. Now once you get to this point, you could of course go straight to the factoring, right? But if you notice here that 2 is common to each term, you can pull out that 2, factor out that 2, undistribute it. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing that. So pull the 2 out, and we'll have y squared minus 9y minus 10 equals 0. Alright, now you can divide both sides by 2, right, and just get rid of that 2. So you don't have to worry about that 2 at all, because 0 divided by 2 is 0 anyway. So it doesn't change anything. Now we can factor this, and we'll have y and a y, multiply to negative 10, add to negative 9, so we'll have a minus 10 plus 1. Okay, so y is going to be equal to 10 or negative 1. Alright, so 10, right, you could double check your answer. Once you get to this point, you get your answers. Make sure it makes sense in the problem. Are the sum of 10 and negative 1, oh, hold on a second. This is the answer for y. It actually is the same answers for x. If you plug this back in for x, you're going to get the exact same answers. If you plug in 10 for y, x can be negative 1. If you plug in negative 1 for y, you're going to answer for x can be 10. Okay, so it's the same thing either way. This is x and y. X and y are both equal to 10 or 1. Okay, so make sure it makes sense. So 10 minus 1 is 9, so that works, or 10 plus negative 1, and then 10 squared plus negative 1 squared is 101. So we are all good there. Next one, some geometry stuff. So we get the length of the rectangle is 1 meter less than the width. Probably want to draw this. So length we'll call x, or less than twice the width. Okay, so let's call the length, this is the length, and let's make the width here 2x minus 1. The length is 1 meter less than twice the width. So we've got the area of this whole thing is 55. I don't know why that second A is there, 55 square meters. We want to find the perimeter. Okay, so we got to find x in order to do that first. So we know that it's length times width, so x times 2x minus 1 has to equal 55. Alright, so we got 2x squared minus x minus 55 equals 0. Factor it out to figure out what x is. Right, you're thinking probably 11 and 5, that's what I'm thinking too. The 5 needs to go with the 2 because we want 11 minus 10, or yeah, 10, negative 11 plus 10. So it's going to be a plus 5 minus 11. Alright, and when you double check it, you should see that that is the correct answer. So we've got x equals negative 5 over here. Alright, but the problem is that doesn't make any sense because you can't have a negative length. So we're not going to use that one. Alright, over here, x is going to be equal to 5.5, or negative, or 11 over 2. Okay, so 5.5 is the width, which means the length has to be 2 times that minus 1, which is 10. Okay, so here we've got 5.5, and here we've got 10. Alright, so to find the perimeter, 2 times 5.5 is 11, 2 times 10 is 20, so it's 31. We're finished. Alright. The product of 3 consecutive integers is 21 more than the cube of the smallest integer. Okay, this is a lot of work in this one. Okay, so we've got to write out this equation. We've got the product of 3 consecutive integers. All right, so we call one of them x. Okay, the next one's going to be x plus 1. The next one's going to be x plus 2. All right, they're consecutive integers, one right after the other. All right, the product of them means that we have to multiply them together. So x plus 1 times x plus 2 tells us equals always 21 more than 21 plus the cube of the smallest integer, x cubed. Find the integers. So we just need to try to solve this polynomial equation. Alright, so we need to distribute our x first, and we'll get x squared plus x, multiply that by x plus 2. Don't do anything to the right side for now. Okay, we can FOIL this. We'll get x cubed plus, let's see, 2x squared plus 1x squared is 3x squared plus 2x. Okay, double check, make sure you get the same answer. And 21 plus x cubed over here. Luckily, thank God for us, I thought we were going to have to FOIL or factor with the cubes. When we subtract x cubed from both sides, they're going to cancel each other out, so they go away. That's lucky. Now to solve this, we got to get everything to the left. So we have 3x squared plus 2x minus 21 equals 0. And now we can factor. Now we've got a 3x in there and an x. Okay, so we have to multiply to negative 21, add to 2. So you're probably going to use, it's 3 times that. Let's see. It's got to be 7 and 3, right? So with the 7 and 3, we could plug those in, and we'll get the 3 needs to go with the other 3, so we can get our positive. So it's a plus 3 over here, and the minus 7 goes there. So that way we've got 9x minus 7x gives us our 2x. Okay. Now to plug these in, or to find our answers, we got x equals negative 3 for sure. So x plus 3 equals 0. X equals negative 3. Okay. And 3x minus 7 equals 0. So x equals 7 thirds or 2 and a third. However you want to put it. Okay? You know how much I hate mixed numbers, but I'm just trying to change it up on you. Okay, so make sure that they both work. Alright, they do in fact both work because we don't need it. That doesn't have to be positive. Oh, it does have to be an integer. Okay? This says product of 3 consecutive integers. Okay, it's 21 more than the cube of the smallest one. So that means, since 2 to the third is not an integer, you can't use it. So the answer is just x equals negative 3. So we've got negative 3 times negative 2 times negative 1. Finally here, the shorter leg of a right triangle is 17 centimeters less than the longer leg. Right triangle. Shorter leg, 17 less than the longer leg, so x on the longer one. X minus 17 in the shorter one. Hypotenuse is 25. What's the perimeter? Well, you can use, I think what they're asking us to use here is Pythagorean theorem. So we'll jump right into a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we'll have x minus 17 squared plus x squared equals 25 squared. Okay, so x squared minus 34x plus, I don't even know what 17 squared is. It's 289, of course. 289 plus x squared equals 25 squared, which is 625. Okay, big numbers to deal with here. Alright, so we got to get everything. Oh, this actually, it doesn't cancel out your x squareds, but we've got 2x squared minus 34x. Alright, we have to subtract our 625 over. So you got to do 289 minus 625. And you'll get negative, or minus, 336 equals 0. Definitely want to factor out a 2 there. Okay, so 2 times x squared minus 17x minus 336 divided by 2, which is 168, equals 0. Once again, you don't have to worry about that 2 because it's going to be dividing out to the 0 anyway, so it's not going to matter. Now, to figure out, you're going to have to go to your calculator to this. I'm going to my calculator to try to figure out what this is going to come out to be. So with my calculator, I just figured out that 24 and 7 work, so that's going to help me a lot there. So x equals, or we'll have x plus 7 and x minus 24. Okay, and that's going to get us our answer. So x here has to equal negative 7 or positive 24. Negative 7 doesn't make sense because it's a length of a side. Alright, so that's one side. X is 24 here. Y is going to be 24 minus 17, which is 7. Okay, so we get the perimeter, 49, 56. P equals 56. All done.